You know at Harris when you like first meet people and people are usually like, oh, like what did you do before coming to Harris? Well, my answer is usually a little bit different from everyone else because I was actually farming for 5 years before coming to Harris. And so I'm gonna talk through a few of those experiences. And even if they don't say it, sometimes I feel like people are always thinking, really, you were a farmer? You don't look like a farmer. That is correct. I'm not like an older white male wearing a straw brim hat. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in suburban New Jersey. My parents are professional musicians, like in New York City, and like I went to a liberal arts college and studied international relations. Did not go to an ag school. But after college, I did work in DC on policy stuff for like a year, and I was working on the Farm Bill as one of my policy issues. And I really cared about food at that point and like feeding myself and like understanding where my food came from. And I was working on Farm Bill stuff, and I was like, where are the actual farmers in this, and how does this all fit into that food system and food system practitioners? So I didn't see them in DC, so I decided to learn more. I applied for this apprenticeship in Italy, and somehow they took me. And so it was my first farming experience, my first time really doing manual labor and like working outside. It was as dreamy as this picture is, and it was amazing. But yeah, so it was my first time like working with my body, and like literally the work pants that I brought for this were those cargo pants pictured there. They were like from American Eagle from like 7th grade. And they were destroyed very quickly. But yeah, I learned and did so many new things that first year and after. And after I got back from Italy, I was like, okay, this feels meaningful to me. I want to try to invest in this in the long run and keep learning. So I went to Shelter Island, New York, which is all the way out on the east end of Long Island, worked on this sort of like historic property and farm. And it was a slave plantation back in the day, so don't let anyone ever tell you there wasn't slavery in the North. Yeah, grew all sorts of beautiful produce and got to really experience for the first time in my life, like what produce could really look like when it's fresh, when it's grown well, with care, with time, but it also was like a lot of hard work. And I know that sounds pretty obvious, but you know, it's like I knew that, but also really internalize it in a different way when it's like, you need to get the harvest in, and it's pouring rain, and freezing cold, and super muddy, and disgusting, and miserable. But at the end of the day, I think it is worth it. So then I moved up to the Hudson Valley in New York to do another apprenticeship. This farm I was working on veggies, but there was a really diversified livestock operation, and so I got to hang out with a lot more farm animals. This was Matilda. She was one of 3 triplets of their kids, like goat babies. And also got to experience meat in a totally new way through the processing and like slaughter of animals. This is not Matilda, this is but especially like as a Jewish woman, like I never really expected that the most kosher piece of meat I would ever eat was like a pig that my friends raised and we slaughtered like on the farm that we worked at. So this was just another example of all the beautiful stuff and sort of amazing people I met. My friend May, total badass farmer. This is how we would harvest winter squash because it's really heavy and just like a pain in the ass to harvest in crates or buckets. But anyway, after that experience, I somehow got hired as a farm manager at Common Run Farm in Beacon, New York. So I started managing this farm, really. I guess I did know what I was doing, but I really didn't. And I learned so much, and I kind of learned that growing the vegetables is like the easiest part of like managing a farm, and it's everything else from hiring and managing a crew to working out schedules to doing the marketing to doing the sales to building things, which I had never really done before. This was a high tunnel, which is like an unheated greenhouse that we built, 72 feet long, 40 feet wide. I also never expected that I would be like solely the sole operator of like heavy machinery. And we're building this high tunnel, and it's really tall, and it was like, we can't use a ladder to get up there. So we like rented this hydraulic lift, so like I'm driving down the back roads, like driving this hydraulic lift. It was pretty surreal. Speaking of heavy machinery, I also somehow, over the years got trained to learn how to use tractors. This was an old tractor that actually is functional, from the 1930s or 40s Farmall Cub. And this was my crew. looking badass, our band photo, and we actually got some like cool attention for the work that we were doing. This was from Modern Farmer magazine, and I don't really remember saying this, but it does sound like something I would say, so I'll take it. So we had kids come to the farm a lot for field trips and other like educational experiences, and like who would imagine kids like freaking out with joy over harvesting kohlrabi? Like it's literally a cross between cabbage and turnip, and like it just was a lot, really transformative to see other people's experience with food as well. And you know, I really learned that feeding a community takes folks on the ground, farmers, eaters, consumers, like people, like organizers, people on the ground doing the work. That's Erica delivering lettuce to Beacon City school system, but it also takes structural change, and that's kind of like how one of the reasons why I ended up coming back to policy school and coming back to Harris. So I'm still farming. This is my plot of land in Chicago. It's at the 65th and Woodlawn Community Garden. And it's still a big part of my life, even though obviously I'm not doing it full time anymore. So leaving you with this, sort of the main things that I took away from farming is to, like, as much as possible, eat, cook, engage with, question my food, know and support my local farmers and food chain workers, and always bring your own experiences into your policy work. Elliot?
Tell me the most beautiful thing you ever grew.
Beautiful thing. It's not conventionally beautiful, but it's this type of pumpkin that's like really, really ugly, so I guess it's not beautiful. But there's something in that was like very beautiful. So it's this type of pumpkin, it's like a Japanese heirloom. It's called Black Futsu, and it kind of has this like purpley white, like crinkly skin on the outside, and it actually kind of looks like mold, but it's not. And it has a beautiful sort of orange flesh inside, and it was just pretty surreal, and so it was like very beautiful in that way. Is that Kat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. If you could, pie in the sky, have any policy passed to support farmers or farms or help food, what would it be?
I think the policy would be to take all of the money that we send to subsidize industrial agriculture, and also confine animal feeding CAFOs, I forget what the O is, but to take all of that funding and literally give it directly to farmers, to land trusts, to land banks, to also sort of like get more farmers on the land and protecting more agricultural land from development. So just massive redistribution of wealth. Shannon?
If you had to choose to be a fruit or a vegetable, what would you choose and why?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
Specific fruit or vegetable.
I thought you were gonna say fruit or vegetable farmer, and I was like, I definitely have an answer for that. Fruit or vegetable? To be one. Be one. Well, just like practically speaking. Okay, so it's interesting because it's not like my favorite, and it's like actually kind of annoying to grow and harvest. But like kale can last in the field or in your garden like all year, which is pretty amazing. So it's just like it's just like prolific and just like never shuts up or like goes away until like have to kill it. So yeah, maybe kale.
All right, big hand for Susan. So interesting. All right, guys, we're gonna intermission for like 15-20 minutes. So grab more pizza. I think there's still some left. Refresh your drinks. Talk to each other, hang out, and we'll be back.